So going back to what you said about working with the community of different trainee music leaders, I think for me that's like one of the benefits of the trainee year, because as a music leader you can be working solo an awful lot, and I think having that chance to talk with colleagues and see different people's approach to work enables you to have the opportunity to think about yourself as a facilitator and who are you in that music leadership space, and musically who are you, but also personally who are you, what do you want to achieve as a facilitator. And you know, everybody is different, and I think everyone has their own inspiration and personality to bring to the work, and that creates different outcomes for the people you're working with. So I always kind of say to our trainee music leaders that just taking the time to observe and see other people's work and think, well, actually I like that, I don't like that, this is me, this is not me, I think is really, really valuable in terms of your own professional development.
Yeah, that carried itself into the other bit that I was going to talk about. This is one of the few descriptions of how and where you will be working and who you will be working with, where there was a line that I think should be in most applications, that's saying that they're not saying that oh, what's the line? It says we were going to work with communities that for funding words, and other people have overused the term marginalized group of people. But then in this, it's saying that who is rather reclaiming it and saying who have been marginalized by the society. But that doesn't mean that they are marginalized people and all that. And the communities were full of people from all over. And the diversity of it really reminded me of why, if I look back, or I watch a video of someone who had the opportunity and they said that they work with those communities, I think I would have kicked myself for not applying or putting in my application. Because you then see the representation from the faces of these young people, that there is someone standing in front of me who looks like me, who I can aspire to. And then that in its own way kind of sparks the talk and the free will of creativity in the room.
Yeah, and it's so important because culture is everywhere, but opportunity is not. And I think that's, you know, part of our fundamental approach at Orchestras Live. It is about working with communities about what they would like to do, and then matching the professional artists in to help deliver that and achieve what they want to do. And that's an ongoing conversation, because if you're working with a community over a long period of time, and you were involved in our Withensea project where we've worked now, I forget how many years, 7 or 8. And you know, that's an evolution, because about from where we've started to where we are now are very different things, and the community are actually saying, well, no, we would like this, we would like to do this. And that's a really positive thing from my point of view, that orchestras and musicians are challenged as well by the communities they work with. You know, this is what we want to do, help us realize it. And I think you talk really eloquently about the importance of kind of role models of people from all sorts of backgrounds. And I think it's important to remember musicians are everywhere, and everybody has their own personal backstory. And a lot of what leadership, I think, is about sharing some of that, and sharing that with colleagues as well, so that, you know, everybody's story is included in the room, and you can see that it doesn't really matter where you come from. If you're interested in music and you want to develop and practice, and you know, you could actually go anywhere. And I think that's really important to show, especially to young people, that there are many ways to become a musician if that's what you want to do.
And on top of it, you already can, most of the time there are projects where you don't see the measure of it immediately, but then with these projects like the Withensea and the one down south as well, it was all like you could see right there and then the transformation.
Yeah.
And And even I learned through the process that sometimes even if people were not fully engaged the way you would have hoped to, just them even tapping a finger was a thing. And I like that's their way of enjoying it. But we are also not there all the time. So whilst we are there, if they've been able to even join in that short period of time, that was valuable. And it then teaches you about how you value your work and even how you evaluate it afterwards. And for me, that's one thing that I've also added to my toolbox. That it's not about how big I want it to be, but how the tiny little steps that leads into it also kind of forms the bigger picture of what I've been able to achieve.
Yeah, and I hear a lot of music leaders talk about, you kind of meet a participant group for the first time, you've got a certain amount of time to work with them normally, sometimes that can be really short, and it's about kind of assessing quite quickly where that group of people are, what they want to do, and where they might get to in the time that you have with them. And you know, I'm reminded time and again about the importance, like you say, of having fun and enjoying it. You know, the process and the positive and inclusive process is just as important as the kind of final outcome of the performance, if that's what you're working towards, or, you know, co-creating a new piece of music. But the quality of that process for everybody in the room is really, really important.